Imagine living 6 years in your bathroom. That was my life at Folsom State Prison. 6 by 6 foot cell, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year for 6 years. After the first year, I was like, this is it. I'm determined. I gotta do something with my life. So I challenged myself. I focused and I applied. And when I got out, I wrote that book. I'm speaking throughout the United States, and now I'm putting on presentations throughout the world. Oh, no, that wasn't me. That was the gentleman who was sitting next to me at a speaker training camp, putting on by Les Brown, the world famous motivational speaker. Yeah, see, Les was going through this exercise. What's your story? What got you here? And each successive speaker went on and tell about their trials and tribulations. And I was sitting there, I said, oh my gosh, I don't have that misfortune. I'm just a kid that grew up in northern New Jersey, nice Italian family, no dysfunction, no missing limbs, no disease. And at one point, as we were going around the room, it got even better and better and better. I'm like, oh my gosh, why couldn't my father leave us? Well, Mom, why couldn't you swing at me every now and then? I really feel like calling them up and really calling them out. And I was sitting in my misfortune, in my pity, and finally I went up to Les and I said, Les, I don't have a story. And he said, Maurice, everybody has a story. You see, ladies and gentlemen, I have no idea what got you here today. You know, your trials and tribulations, your joys, your triumphs. I don't know what it took for you to get out of bed, drag a comb across your head, find your way downstairs and had a cup, looking up, you notice you was late. Thank you, John and Paul. A day in the life. We have no idea what's going on in people's lives. But I did that exercise. I took a look at my life, and I found out what stories got me here. And what I'd like to share with you is my stories, my past. And what I'm hoping is that my past will illuminate your future. You know, ladies and gentlemen, I think we have all our form of prison or jail. In fact, let me take you back. In fact, for some of you at San Diego State University, it was only 7 years ago. I'm talking about grammar school, that jail, that prison. Now for me, I was the fat kid, the overweight kid. That was my prison. Maybe for you, you had that funny name, Francis, or you wore glasses, or maybe you were just the nerd. And we had our prison guards, our tormentors, relentless, teasing us, day in, day out. Fat, the water rat, it ain't DiMino, it's the well. Oh man, this is going on 7 days a week, month after month, and I couldn't take it. I remember one day when I was 10 years old, I went to my mother and I said, Mom, I'm not going to school anymore. Yeah, she knew what was going on. And she mustered all the love that she can. And she looked at me and she said, Joya, you have to face the music. And I can't tell you, but those words, face the music, were magic to me. Right? I can't tell you why, but I knew exactly what she meant. In other words, if you had a challenge, a situation, a person, a place, a thing, you got to face it. You got to walk in your confidence, in your boldness, and you got to boldly go where no one has gone before. Thank you, Captain Kirk. Pretty good for a 10-year-old, huh? And sure enough, I went to school, and on to the rest of my life. Roosevelt said, if you face your fear, the death of that fear is certain. And even to this day, some 40 years later, I still say those words to me. Face the music. Anytime when I find a difficult, challenging situation. Breaking up with a girl. Asking for a raise. Or telling someone, I love you. You see, ladies and gentlemen, life will hand you lemons. But face the music. Let me fast forward now to 1980. Now I'm in my mid-20s. I'm Italian, right? Living on Long Island, New York. What do you think I was doing every Saturday night? Exactly, I was out at the clubs, you better believe it. Oh, just to let you know, I shot up to 6 feet and weighed all disproportioned out, so I was looking good, right? I was like a stealth ninja pickup artist. Yeah, me and the crew would go out, just 2 or 3 of us. Guys, you know what I'm talking about. Just 2 or 3, and we're like pick and choose, and we're having a good time. I remember one night, 6 of us decided to go out. 6. And you know, that's like a wolf pack, right? And I'm just looking, I'm like, oh my gosh. And you could see and smell the desperation. And there we were, standing at the clubs, you know, standing around like a bunch of mooks, right, nursing our drinks, complaining how the girls were so unapproachable. Unapproachable. We weren't even approaching them, and yet we're complaining about them. Me, myself included. And I realized, you know why? Because we didn't want to get rejected. Not only that, my gosh, we didn't want to get rejected in front of all of our friends. And I realized that. And I also realized I had to do something, or this was going to be one loser night. So I gathered the crew together and I said, hey guys, how about this? Let's go get rejected. Let's see how many times we can get rejected. And I don't know, but I think a little cheer went up and we went out, and sure enough, yeah, we got rejected once or twice, but then we started dancing, started buying people drinks, and we had the best years of our lives. Yeah. Sometimes you got to go through that rejection to get to the other side. In fact, we hear it about all in our lives, right? J.K. Rowling's. Harry Potter was rejected 12 times by the publishers. Colonel Sanders, over 1,000 rejections for his original chicken recipe before he became the founder of Kentucky Fried Chicken, KFC. Michael Jordan, presumably the best basketball ever. He was actually cut from his high school basketball team. Yeah, ooh. Yeah, you better believe it. Now the point is, don't get discouraged. Do not get discouraged by those reactions. Supposedly the story was that yes, Michael Jordan went home that day and he cried in the privacy of his bedroom. But the next day, he woke up determined to be a basketball player. Don't get discouraged. Face the news. Go out there. Life is going to be difficult. You know, there's a great quote that says something like this. One of the greatest ailments to affect mankind is cold feet. Ladies and gentlemen, you have to realize that with each rejection, you're closer. You're one step closer to your success. Now let's go back to 4 years ago. Yeah, just a mere 4 years ago, right? I was about to produce my first big event, Discover Your $1 Million Message Intensive. You see, up until that time, I just did small events here and there, nothing too big, but this, oh my word, this was going to be a big event at a big Los Angeles hotel, a lot of moving parts. And it hit me, oh my gosh. What about the AV? What about the logistics? What about if I forget what I'm going to do? What if they don't like me? Oh my gosh, ladies and gentlemen, it was the proverbial paralysis by analysis. I was stuck. I was dead in the water. I remember one night, I was frozen in panic, and then a little voice. All of a sudden I heard this little voice, and it said this: ready, fire, aim. Ready, fire, aim. That's it. You know, you could just get ready so much. You could prepare just to a certain degree, right? And I realized this, if I didn't pull the trigger, I would never see my success. General George S. Patton said this: a good plan, violently executed today, is better than a perfect plan next week. You see, you could just line up your ducks so much. You gotta take those goals, you gotta take those aspirations, whatever they are, and what you gotta do is you gotta line them up in your sights and ready, fire, aim. What are your goals? What are your dreams? What are your aspirations? Know this, that 80% of people talk about their goals. 20% write them down, and only 2% do anything about them. I want you to belong to that 2%. Get into the doing, get into the action. All right? Ready, fire, aim. And that's exactly what I did. I was firing on all cylinders. I produced that event. Oh, I was changing lives. People had a fantastic time, and I went on and I did multiple events. I published my book, and yes, I am speaking throughout the United States. That's my story. Even with those lame little things that happened in my life. You see, ladies and gentlemen, Your stories don't have to be earth-shaking or life-changing. What I suggest to you is examine your stories, look at them, study them, and learn from them. You see, I believe this. It is your stories that will illuminate your future.